Yarn weights and yarn weights. Why do we have two of them and what the heck do they mean? Let's talk about it. Hello, and welcome to Bla Bla Black Sheep, a weekly yarny podcast where I, Sarah Korth of SEK Handmade, answer your yarny questions. I'm so glad you are here. I'm trying the microphone. Friends, I've been disappointed with my sound quality and I don't know what to do about it. I need to find another solution for purchase, I think, is the real situation. So I'm going to try clipping this here for now because I'm going to share with you, oh gosh, what I'm going to wear today. I am going to wear my Lumi cowl. This is a favorite of mine. As I hold this up, I usually love a good maroon and hot pink combination, but today I'm digging the darker colors a little more. So what I'm going to do to wear this and highlight the darker colors is I'm going to put the brighter colors at the bottom, put it up and over my head, and then I'm going to take the darker colors and I'm going to fold them down so that they kind of hide the brighter colors underneath. There you go. And then I'm going to clip this guy here and hope that that gives you good sound quality. All the links below. I will have links to the pattern. I will have links to Nanette Wake Studios, who made this gorgeous yarn. She dyes really stunning yarn. You guys definitely check her out. And then a link to the introduction video. So if you want to hear all about this, you can do that. So there you go. If you have a question, there's a link in the show notes below. You just click the more and then click the link to ask a question. It's super simple. And all you do is put your question, totally anonymous. So I would love to hear what you'd like to hear about. This week's question is, last week when you shared about the numbers on the yarn label, you talked about two different weights being listed on almost every yarn label. I'm so confused. Can you explain the differences? Yes, I can. Okay, so this question asker is absolutely right. Last week, we talked about, I don't have a good yarn label here. We talked about all of the numbers that are on a yarn label. I can get a picture up here from last week. There are lots of numbers. And I said that there are two kinds, I said that there are weights, and I just listed them and didn't really talk about what's the difference between them. So there's a weight in ounces or grams, and then there's a weight like category 5 or worsted or bulky. And those two are different. The weight, as in grams or ounces, is exactly what you think it is. It is simply how much your yarn physically weighs. So 100 grams, 150 grams, 50 grams, 3.5 ounces, 4 ounces, 8 ounces. It literally means if you put it on the scale, that's what it's going to weigh, except it's an estimate. So if you need a specific amount of yarn, it wouldn't hurt you to buy a very inexpensive food or postage scale, and then you can actually weigh your yarn. Very, very rarely do I put yarn on my scale. I weigh almost all the time because I'm a designer and I need to tell you how much yarn you need. Very few times is it exactly the weight it says it's going to be. It's usually a little over or a little under, and that's fine. But it is the physical weight. Just like if I put me on a scale or Weston on a scale, that number would be a definitive amount of how much we actually weigh. It's mathematical. The reason that I'm kind of harping on that, though, is because the other yarn weight is not mathematical. The yarn weight category is a range. And the way that I like to explain this is that yarn weights are like women's jean sizes. And we all know what it's like to try on jeans as a woman. Men's, it's a measurement, and that measurement is mathematical, like the weight in grams of your yarn. But the sizing of women's jeans feels a lot more like, ooh, you can go into one store and pull on a 16 and it can be too big for you. You can go into another store and you can barely get the 16 over your knees. You can go into another store and it can fit like a glove. right? Yarn weight categories are like trying on women's jeans. It's a range and not a mathematical precision. And that's very confusing because weight, as a general definition, seems like it should be a mathematical thing. All yarns within weight categories can go from light to heavy. So let's talk about real quick, just a brief overview of what the weight categories are. Now, these can be different depending on where you live. I'm starting to notice when I talk to people from other countries that there are certain countries that categorize their yarn categories different. I guess I should say they name them differently. I don't think that they actually have totally different weight categories. So there are there are 8 weight categories. They go from 0 to 7. That equals 8 categories. Even I can math that. A 0 is an ultra fine or a lace weight yarn. A 1 is a fingering weight yarn. A 2 is a sport weight yarn. A 3 is a DK weight yarn. A 4 is a worsted weight yarn. A 5 is a bulky weight yarn. A 6 is a super bulky yarn. And a 7 is a jumbo yarn. The jumbo yarns are things that look like rope, like they're big, fat yarns. And sometimes they get labeled as the numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, also 0. Sometimes they get labeled with the words. So it's good to have an idea of what each of them means. So I just wanted to give you then a quick visual of the differences between yarns. So I've got with me here 3 bulky weight yarns. Each of these yarn companies list these yarns as a bulky weight yarn. So this is a Lion brand yarn, and this is a Malabrigo. This is Color Made Easy and Mecha. And I just want to show you the difference between the two. I hope you can see that the Mecha is quite a bit thinner than the Color Made Easy. And they're both considered a bulky weight yarn. Now, I also have this in Love by Circolo, and they are calling this a chunky, not a bulky, a chunky. I don't know why that makes me laugh, but it does. And I want you to look at the thickness of that one. Now, that is even more fine than the Mecha. And let's see if I can get I'm so graceful. And then look at it compared to the Lion brand. So all 3 of those are considered a bulky weight yarn, and they're all different thicknesses. So women's jeans, my friend, women's jeans. It has been my personal experience, and this is personal experience, so it's not a hard and fast rule. It has been my personal experience that store-bought big box yarns, store-bought isn't quite right because the local yarn shop is still a store. Big box yarns tend to be on the heavy end of the spectrum. So like your With Love from Joann's, or your Lion brands, or your Red Hearts, or other things you buy at Joann's. Those will tend to be on the heavier side of whatever weight category they fall into. And things that you find in yarn shops or from dyers or from more high-end yarn manufacturers tend to be on the lighter side. So this is important to know, because if you need to substitute yarn, and who hasn't needed to substitute yarn at some point? If you need to substitute yarn, you want to get as close to the designer's yarn as possible. And so if you say, pick up a sport weight yarn. I'm designing in a sport weight yarn right now, and this sport weight yarn is the heaviest sport weight I have ever met. It's a very heavy sport weight yarn. And if you look at that and say, oh, sport weight, and just go pick up a very light sport weight, you're going to have a really hard time meeting gauge, and your fabric might not look as nice. So having an understanding of the fact that the weight category is a category and not a hard and fast number or rule is just something that's really important to keep in mind as you're substituting her. So there you go. I hope that was helpful. From very young, it has driven me crazy that we use the same word to mean multiple things. Why couldn't we get more creative? I'm sure some linguistics person could tell me. I'm guessing there's a reason for it, but I don't like it. Let's talk small businesses. I have this gorgeous mug from Deer Creek Ceramics. Link to their Facebook page will be in the description down below. So if you want to check out their gorgeous work, maybe message them and see if you could get a mug, you can go ahead and do that. I have earrings on from the Appleton Arts Festival from last week. These are by Gorgeous Jewelry. Link will be down below for that. They're made out of gourds. I talked to the artist. She was lovely. She grows the gourds, she dries them, she cuts them, she shapes them, she paints them, and then she seals them. They are the lightest weight. They're just like wearing air. That's weird. Link to her shop down below too, so go check them out. They're great artists there. All right, I want to talk, let's do some announcement-y kinds of things. The first thing I want to do is talk to you about the mystery crochet along. I promised you that we would talk about this week, and I'm coming through. The mystery crochet along will be happening in October, as always, and this year I'm collaborating with Cornbread and Honey to make some kits. We're going to have 4 kits available, and each kit is going to contain 4 skeins of DK weight yarn. I wanted to get you the numbers of the kits so that if you wanted to budget and plan ahead, you could go ahead and do that. So the kits, as I said, are going to contain 4 skeins of DK weight yarn. There are going to be 4 color options, and each kit is going to be $116 full price. The great news is we're going to do a pre-order. So if you order between August 18th and August 31st, you're going to get a discount that brings the price of those 4 skeins down to $98. Tanya works very hard to keep her yarn as reasonably priced as possible. She really wants it to be accessible to people, and she dyes really gorgeous yarn. So you will not be disappointed. So that's what you need to save up if you want to buy a kit for the mystery crochet along. It's going to be so much fun. I wanted to do a little unboxing for you. I am collaborating with Rose and Rose fiber. Rose as in I just want to get one more row done, and rose as in the flower. And I talked to them about collaboration and what we wanted to do together, and they agreed to send yarn support for my Crochet Cancer Challenge hat, but also it's going to be a whole thing, all the things. So I'm really excited about this. I said 1 semi-solid and 1 speckled, and they came through with just really some gorgeous yarn. So I'm just going to show you one of each skein they sent me 4, which is fantastic. I should have plenty of yarn to get all of the things done. This is the semi-solid they sent me. It is just so deep and stunning. There's like some yellows and rust and pinks in there. It's really gorgeous. And then I asked for a speckled, and this is what they sent me for the speckled. That gorgeous teal aqua yarn, and then speckles of the colors in here. So look at how nicely they coordinate. You've got all these oranges, and then you've got the orange speckles, and then you've got yellows, and you've got some yellow speckles. It's just, I can't wait to work with this and wind it up and squish it. I did some swatching. I'm gonna wait. The Crochet Cancer Challenge is in October, which I know seems like a long ways away, but all the things. I got to make the samples. I got to take the pictures. I got to write the pattern. I got to have it tested. I got to have it tech edited. It takes time. So I'm really thrilled to get going with those, but I wanted to show you them first. So, let me tell you colorways. This one is Bonfire, and this one is Meadow. I don't think that these are out yet. I think these are maybe going to be fall colors. I will check with the yarn dyer on that and get back to you. But I'm super excited. They're really gorgeous. Let's see. What else? Oh, an art tour. I told you last week when I showed you all my art that I would have it hung up, and then I'd tour them this week, and I did. So I'm feeling very on top of things. Tile there. It's just hung on a nail with the ribbon that it has underneath my sheep. I was kind of on the fence about it when I first hung it, but I really think I like it there. It's a fun pop of color. And then my little flower right there being all bold with its bad self. Really love that. But since we talked about this last, I've added a few other things to this corner that I just want to show you real quick. Up here is a framed card that I got from a friend of my mom's after my mom passed. It's got a really sweet note in it, so I definitely wanted to keep it. And I love the bold flower, so I thought, why not hang it on the wall? And then this guy in the square rectangle frame and this guy in the circle frame are watercolors that my boys did while we were in the midst of the pandemic. And so it's nice to have those have a little more of a permanent home. And then this guy is so much fun. So that's a swatch that I did. And all I did to put it in the frame was I stretched it over the glass that went into the frame and then pushed it into the frame, and I held it in place somehow. I don't recall exactly, but it's like held in there a little bit. So that's so fun. And then over here, I have some stuff that I bought last year. Last year, I bought this Dory Patrick print. It's not an actual painting. It's a print. I can talk. And then this picture of that adorable sheep. I finally found a frame for him. I tried like 3 or 4 times before I got the right size frame. So those are hung together. And then I added my little bluebird here. Isn't he just adorable? And then up above, I have my Dory Patrick actual painting, and it's bold and bright and makes me so happy. So there you go. So that's where I hung all of my artwork. My youngest told me, Mom, it's like chaos, but it works. And sometimes I feel like that's my whole life. So I love it. It's fun. I hope you enjoyed it. Friends, one last thing, and this is like, no, 2 last things. I'm going to try to be quick. These are personal stories. So I told you that my nephew came to stay with us, and we spent a week here having a blast. I spoiled the heck out of him. And then my whole family met in Iowa for a week to celebrate my mom's birthday. And my nephew said to my sister, who was wearing a tie-dye shirt one day, "Oh, can we tie-dye?" And my sister and I were like, "A messy craft? Yes, please." But what we decided to do, instead of doing tie-dyeing, we did ice dyeing because it was like 8 million degrees there. So we ice dyed shirts. I'll put up some pictures of the process a little bit. It was so much fun. And so we all had these really fun shirts. But then we all put on our shirts to take a picture. You guys, my shirt is possessed. So this is my shirt. Fun, right? Okay. Except for the first thing I see when I put this shirt on, you ready for this? Is this guy. I see a mouth, I see eyes, I see crazy hair. It looks like the villain from The Emperor's New Groove to me. I don't remember her name. But then I come out in my shirt and my boys go, "Oh, Mom, you have a possessed goat on your shirt." And I'm like, what? Nose and mouth, eyes, ears. So I'm like, that's fun. So then I put my shirt on another time, and look what I see. Do you see that possessed face? eyes, hair, nose, creepy mouth. Why is my shirt possessed? I don't even know. So I think we'll tie-dye, like actual tie-dye. I was saying something to my mother-in-law and she was like, I've never tie-dyed before. And I was like, what? So I think we'll have her over and do some tie-dyeing before school starts back up. That'll be fun. And I need a new shirt that I could actually wear out of the house without people questioning if it's possessed by demons. So there you go. Teehee. I wanted to talk to you about my hair. You know, I love my hair. It has been a really stinking hot summer, which you know, because it's been hot for everybody. I am going through perimenopause. And so I have like been unable to be cool. My whole summer has been this and this. So I've been thinking for a while, both because I've been continuously hot and because I am just A, curious, and B, tired of dyeing my hair. Every time I shave the side of my head, I re-dye my hair blue. That's like every 3 weeks. I was getting very tired of it. So here's what I'm doing. I chopped off my hair. It's much shorter than it used to be. I was not loving it at first, but it's growing on me, literally and figuratively. I like how it turned out today. So I'm going to grow all the dye out of my hair. Obviously, where it's really short, it's already gone. In the back, it's pretty much gone too. And I just want to see what's under there. Is it all gray? No, I don't think so. But I'm just curious how much is gray. I had a long talk with my hairdresser, who is lovely and takes me back in every time I disappear for months cutting my own hair and then come back to her and I'm like, okay, I'm ready for a real haircut. She's so sweet. But we talked about, if I grow this out, could I just dye my non-gray hair gray? And the short answer is no. If you'd like to know the ins and outs of why, I would love to have a discussion with you, but we're not going to talk about that here. So, because it's a long discussion and it's hair, not yarn related. So send me a message, ask questions in the comments below. I'd love to chat with you. You know me, I love to talk. But that's what's going on with my hair. I definitely chopped it. I'm a little on the fence. I'm a little tender about it, so don't make fun. Thank you so much for joining me today. I hope you have a wonderful week. We'll see you back here next week, and happy crafting.